5 years ago, I was reflecting on the hymn called "Onward, Christian Soldiers." I was thinking about the great spiritual battle that we are involved in, the war for our souls, and about how we have to decide which side we will belong to, which side we will enlist. Will we enlist in the cause of Christ or in the other side, the side of our enemy? And as I reflected on that hymn, that great rallying cry to join the army of Christ, to be soldiers in his army, I was thinking about what it will be like when the war is over, when all the battles have been concluded, when the Saviour is victorious, and when we will be able to rest, when we will be able to rejoice and signify the victory of the Son of God over sin and death. And what a day that will be, what rejoicing will come into our souls on that majestic day, when the war has been won, when good has vanquished evil, and we've found ourselves on the victorious side. And I wrote a poem reflecting some of my thoughts and feelings about that future day, that day which will come in due course, when we rejoice in the Lord of Lords and the King of Kings. I'd like to read that poem to you now. It's a very basic poem, one of my more simple ones, but it reflects that feeling, that sense of hopeful enthusiasm, that optimistic looking forward after the weariness, after the exhaustion, after we've expended all our efforts and given our whole souls to the fight, the great fight for our souls, how we will feel on that blessed day. So let me read that to you now. It is called "Sing the Song of Joyful Gladness." Sing the song of joyful gladness, light the torch triumphant, raise the happy glass, praise the valor of our King. We faced the dreaded foe, we defended the city strong, we hurled the poisoned chalice down, we threw the cursed ensign far. Victorious are we, one and all. We smote and smote and smote again. We were not lost from the memory of the brave. The soldier's call we heard, distinct and defiant. We shouldered the heavy cross, we held the light aloft. Our banner, stained with blood, has never been so clean. We were majestic in the night. That vicious terror in the darkness was manifestly brutal, large, dangerous, and fierce. But we did not forget the lance of virtue, nor the shield of hope. We did not cast aside the sword of truth or the armor of love. We carried the power of his might and the strength of his name. The King is mighty indeed. So sing the song of joyful gladness. Praise the King and Lord of all. It was wonderful to share that with you, and I hope that that expresses my sentiments, my emotions, my feelings, my faith, that the Son of God is victorious. The battle is already won. The war is already decided. Christ is victorious. All his enemies, sin and death and hell and the devil, will be overcome. That is a certainty. We get to choose on which side we will enlist. I have chosen to carry the cross of Christ. I have chosen to be true to his noble message, to his divine doctrine, to his courageous mission. I have chosen to unite my voice with his, to indicate my support for his glorious cause in time and in eternity. I know that Jesus is indeed the mighty Christ. He is both the gentle servant, but he's also the majestic warrior. He fights for us. He watches over us. He enlists us in his cause. He's the God of David and the God of the Lamb. He is the shepherd, and he's also the great conqueror. He fights against all enemies and defeats all our foes. He watches over Israel. I testify of him that he is the living Messiah. He's the King of all the kings. He's the Lord of all the lords. He is both humble and soft and mellow and peaceful, but he's also mighty to save and to cleanse from all unrighteousness. He is strong. He is brave. He is true. He is our hope of Israel, the defender of our faith, the great high priest of our religion. I express faith and testimony in him. I love him and desire to serve him, to fight in his cause, to defend his name, to sustain his great ministry. I so testify that he lives, and he will fight our battles. He will destroy all the enemies that come against him. How grateful I am for the Christ, who does not wage a physical war upon us, upon the souls of men, but wages a spiritual war. He calls us to peace. He calls us to love. He calls us to serve. He calls us to be pure and virtuous and courageous, to be humble, to be gentle, to be generous, to be meek, to be brave and have courage under fire, to resist the temptation to be lustful or proud or envious or arrogant. He is our great and mighty God. He is our redeeming Savior, our loving Lord.